Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Last DJ podcast. I am Jenny, and this is Alex.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey. So we're back. We have a really cool playlist lined up for you. It's really good for the season we're in right now. I really like it and think it fits. This is an Alexander.
You mean the Halloween October type season?
Yeah. This is an Alex playlist, and it's really fucking good. The playlist link for Apple and Spotify will be in the show notes, and we'll talk about it a bit more later on. We also have a lot of cool and interesting things, as usual, to share with you and talk about. And
so let's do that.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope you enjoy the nature ambience in the background. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're getting into the show now.
So I was thinking maybe giving you some options.
Oh, boy.
Which you hate.
Okay, go on.
Like all women, you hate making decisions.
That's not true.
Chicks don't like making decisions.
Depends on what it's about. You
can't even figure out what you want to eat.
That is...
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
But not all of the time. Sometimes I know 5% exactly
of the time
you
know exactly what you want to eat. All right. So we got a Bruce Lipton video.
Okay.
So it's like new agey.
Yeah.
Spiritual, religious without God, but with God, but not the same kind of God as religious people describe it. Blobbity blue bloob.
Okay.
Bloobity blop blop.
Yes, the next one.
And then I got a Osho thing about democracy.
I like Osho.
Yeah, democracy.
Okay.
Retarded people. It's the full clip of that.
Oh, that's good.
It's like a 9-minute clip where he explains why democracy is retarded.
Literally. That's the best.
And then I also have been wanting to talk about for a while. You know how there's this thing going on with acting like natives are these like they're like wood elves in Lord of the Ring or something, Lord of the Rings. Like they're these magical spiritual creatures filled with wisdom.
Yeah.
Elder wisdom that the dumb whites should learn from, and
yeah.
And that they're these victims of the colonizers who came and genocided them all and stole all of their land.
Yeah.
That whole thing. And like in a lot of ways that shit's true, but it's like if you want to like leave out a ton of context and like actual information to have like a more complete picture of how things actually went down.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was really young, I was really, really into natives and Indians and stuff like that. And you know, the way that we're raised in Canada, like very politically correct and stuff like that. I was always like, oh, the poor natives, they got killed. They got screwed over by the white people. They got genocided and everything like that. So I have a few clips that I wanted to play that kind of give a more complete picture. Not saying that white people were angels and they didn't do shitty stuff, but it's more like history is complicated and there wasn't really good guys or bad guys, and the white people did bad shit, the native people did bad shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of just the way that history went. Like, history's dirty and messy. It's not... When has there ever been, like, a fucking... like, a great country? Or, like, when... when two different groups of people meet, when has that ever gone well? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, shit's not... Like, we live in a dirty, messy world. And then the other one was Brett Weinstein talking about... basically the vaccines and what he has what he's been talking about on his podcast as far as like myocarditis and like blood clots and dangerous side effects from the vaccines and how many people are actually getting hurt and like how is it happening, why is it happening, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Osho.
Okay. And then at some point we gotta talk about the playlist, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pretty much just metal, but all different kinds of metal.
Yeah.
And if you're new, the reason it's kind of like, okay, what we used to do is we were able to put songs together in the actual podcast, but then that app got discontinued, so we're not able to do that anymore. That's why we have the playlist in the show notes. That's why we have like a podcast and do a playlist at the same time. It might seem strange if you
That's the only way you can do that.
It's the only way we can do it anymore. It's not how we wanted the podcast to be. It was supposed to be like a radio show. But yeah, that's the story. So let's get into the Osho thing. All right, so this is a clip from this guy called Osho. If you don't know him, they did a documentary on Netflix, which is really, really awesome, but doesn't make him look great.
No.
It doesn't make him look bad.
It's not really about him. It's about the people surrounding him.
It's not about him, and it's not about the stuff he says.
No.
And I was going to say not about his teachings, but he doesn't really have teachings. Like, he's like a guru that's not a guru and tells you to not follow gurus and that gurus are full of shit. And the only way of doing anything is to be an individual and think for yourself. So he's not... I'm using the word guru, but it doesn't apply in any way to him. But he's like one of these Indian guys, and he has like a cult that kind of got built around him. He didn't really do it, but it's a pretty crazy documentary. Actually, it's a really crazy documentary, and I would highly recommend watching it, if whether you like him or don't like him or whatever. It's just really interesting to learn about cults and how they work.
Yeah, it's called Wild Wild Country.
Yeah.
On Netflix.
Yeah. It's really, really good. Everyone who's seen it said it's awesome. Anyways, so he's going to give a little chatty poo here about why democracy is retarded. And we've played the short clip before, but this is the full thing. I don't know about you, but as I got into learning about the way the world works, I wouldn't say like I wouldn't say that I got into politics, but like more about like how things actually function. Because I never got into like I'm gonna really support this candidate, and I'm like a right winger, a left winger, or whatever. We don't do labels. We've talked about this before. Anyways, I never liked the idea of democracy ever, even when I first started learning about how everything works, because the idea, okay, like we all know and can admit that we live in a world where there's a lot of stupid people.
Or
like
ignorant.
Stupid, retarded, fucking mentally ill, crazy people.
Uninterested.
Yeah, like headline readers, people like that.
Yeah.
Basically, my conclusion was like, there are certain people where if we really want to run a good society, the idea that everyone's vote is equal doesn't make any sense to me. The idea that someone who's really intelligent and really well-read and knowledgeable about what's going on and gives really balanced, nuanced opinions on things, and if given the chance could really solve a lot of problems in maybe some kind of group of people that are like different kinds of experts that work together to solve certain problems or whatever. Like there's people like that where that's who I'd want in charge of doing things. I wouldn't want it to be left open to a vote where we're voting for people who are doing like it's like a competition to see who's most popular. That's no way of running a town or a household or a friend group or a city, and definitely not a country.
Yeah.
Fucking, it just is literally retarded, right? If you think about it at all. The idea that some fucking inbred retard that believes like the fucking word of God like fully is literal in the Bible and everything, or some fucking retarded flat earth person, their vote is the same as, you know, someone like Jay Bhattacharya or somebody like that.
Yeah.
There's no way that that's going to turn out good.
It doesn't really play out very well in reality.
We're seeing what happens. Yeah. And it's also easy to rig. Like, you can manufacture consent. You can manufacture, like, you just kind of control norms and stuff like that. And you can control how people think, especially if you control the education system. And you can get people to do basically whatever you want, which you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, here's the clip from Osho. Listen to this. Tell me what you think.
Democracy is not the highest goal. It is better than dictatorial regimes. It is better than monarchies. But it is not the end of the journey.
I love that so much, because that's how I've seen things. Like, that's my opinion, that like, when people talk about there's so many problems with capitalism, like, he's not talking about capitalism right now, but like, they'll say capitalism's evil, that's why we need socialism, which is fucking retarded to me, right? And to most people that actually know anything about anything. And the thing is that I agree with them that capitalism sucks, but the reality, like, maybe it's the scary reality to some people, is that with all the problems that come with capitalism, it's the best thing that we've got so far. And I think maybe it's the same thing with democracy, even though it fucking sucks ass. You like that? Even though it's not great, it's way better than, like, communism or fascism or, like, any of the systems that have come before. But it's still garbage. And that's not a view that I think a lot of people even can comprehend having. Where it's like, this thing does suck, but it's still better than everything that you're proposing. And the idea that you would just change a system without, like, we know what happens with socialism and communism and fascism.
Yeah, we do. Lots of examples.
Yeah, so, like, I think that's a good way of thinking, and it shows that someone's a nuanced, intelligent thinker, that they can be like, yeah, capitalism has all kinds of problems. There's some major problems that suck about it, but that doesn't mean that socialism is better. And some people might be like, well, you shouldn't, if you don't have any solutions, then you shouldn't complain. But that's bullshit too.
Yeah, you have to be able to identify that there's problems.
Yeah.
That's the first step in working towards some kind of solution.
I think democracy and capitalism are better than what has come before, but I think they're not good enough, and that we need to figure out how to go beyond that, which is where I think he's going.
Okay.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded. So let us say, government by the retarded, for the retarded,
Of the retarded.
of the retarded. Democracy cannot be.
That's what I mean by he's not like your typical guru
No.
type of dude. I need to find it. I've heard it before, and I don't know where it is right now. but he has a whole fucking thing on why cheeseburgers rule.
That's really funny.
It's really funny.
The highest possibility man can attain. It is good in comparison to other forms of government that have preceded it, but not something that can succeed it. I call it meritocracy. I want a government by the people of merit, and merit is a very rare quality. As the situation is, all the geniuses of the world are out of governments. It is hilarious. Those geniuses are needed in the government because they can give the best world to humanity. But they are servants to the retarded politicians.
So fucking true.
Now the scientists who are making nuclear weapons are in the service of people like Ronald Reagan. What merit he has got. What intelligence he has got. What is his contribution to the world? Those third grade Hollywood cowboy films? But he will be decisive. And the geniuses will never be known. They will work almost anonymously. All this can be changed by people of genius coming to the top. And the simple way is make categories. So universities become your central forces of power, not governments.
Saw how that worked out. Not doing too well right now.
That's not working out very well. It's the
But-
same problem.
This is the thing. It's always there's stuff that sounds good and it sounds right when you hear it, but then you see it play out in reality and it almost never works out the way you thought it would.
Yeah.
And like he's saying something that makes sense. And I'm sure in the 80s, when universities weren't so crazy, then I bet this, if that was maybe implemented back then, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in now. But the universities, even back then, there's
corruption everywhere.
There's corruption, but it's like a certain type of corruption. Like, this is education. These people are supposed to be teaching people, like, to be the people who are going to take over the world and run countries and government and companies and corporations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they're trying to indoctrinate them and turn them into activists.
Yeah.
Rather than just turning them into, like, well-balanced, fully actuated, like, individuals.
I think it all goes back to society is more selfish. Like, it's more about the individual thinks about the individual and what the individual can get versus like how what you do impacts other people and how people coming together can do things to help things for the future. Like, that long-term thinking and planning isn't there anymore. And I think that kind of thing is everywhere. So you have selfish people in positions of power that are egotistical and don't give a fuck about what you're talking about. Like, you're shaping people that are going to eventually run the world. They don't care about that. They're not thinking long term. They're thinking about what they want and how they feel at the moment, and that's about it.
The thing is with, like, institutions or any kind of, like, power structure, there's always going to be people that see that as their path to gaining, like, power and money and status.
Of course.
And the universities became incredibly powerful. And some of them are, you know, they're so rich that they're richer than a lot of countries and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, some of the numbers I've heard, let me look at, whatever. I'll look it up later. But like Penn State and places like that, because they get money from people who used to go there. I think it's called endowments.
Okay.
Something like that. Either way, they're the people that used to go there will give money to the university that they used to go to to support it. And some of these universities are getting billions of dollars.
Yeah, I bet.
But then they're also still charging their students all kinds of money and shit, right? But what I'm saying is, like, these universities, because there's these power structures that are, like, open to being abused, like, it's just going to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, corruption, like you said, is everywhere. The corruption that took place or took hold or whatever, took root, is this, like, politically correct, like, socialist, Marxist, DEI, like, diversity thing. And you can see how, like, it's pretty well documented how they took over, what they did, and what's going on now. Like, what are the results of what they did? Mm-hmm. And like I said, they're turning people into activists rather than, like, individuals that are, like, well balanced and thoughtful and nuanced. Mm-hmm. So this is the thing with, like, any idea when you're trying to change the world, is that you should go into it knowing. And this should be, like, on the front of everyone's mind whenever there's a big change happening. Like, if you're trying to push for revolution or something like that, you should know that you're going to have a plan, and no matter how good it is, there's going to be major problems with that plan when it actually gets implemented in the real world. And if you aren't a psychopath, if you aren't a fucking nut job, like, if you're not just some power-hungry megalomaniac psycho, then you will go into what you're doing knowing that, and you're ready and prepared to admit when your plan or your ideology or your religion or whatever didn't play out in the real world the way you thought it would, and it's fucking things up, and you're like, okay, this isn't good, we need to stop right now and fix what we're doing. But where do you ever see that happening?
Yeah.
Universities create your governors, your presidents, your vice presidents, your senators, and that should be the right thing to do.
See, this is one of the things that I used to argue with people about a lot when they would say, like, because it's gone through different phases where they would say that political correctness isn't a big deal. It's not like a serious issue. And then it got crazier. And then they were like, okay, well, it's pretty crazy what you're saying and what you're showing me, but it's only happening on college campuses. Remember that argument? You'd hear all the time, especially when people criticize like Jordan Peterson and Brett Weinstein and people like that. They were warning about what was going on in these universities.
Yeah.
They'd be like, well, yeah, okay, it is going on, but it's just on universities. Who gives a shit about some purple-haired feminist freako on campus saying a bunch of socialist bullshit? And it's like exactly what Osho just said there. These people don't just go off into a fucking void. They don't just fucking warp into another dimension. They become like Kamala Harris. They become president or like the chief of police or fucking running a corporation or getting in the government, working at Lockheed Martin, getting a job at the CIA. Yep. Like they go into positions of power in the world that we live in, and now they're these crazy brainwashed activist retards. And rather than being like, I want to make the world better, let's figure out how to do that, they're like, I've got all the fucking answers, and you need to do what I say, and if you don't, then you're a fascist Nazi, or you're a commie retard, or whatever, you're a stupid whatever it is, because you're not following their stupid fucking plan. And that's a product of the education system. So in the end, like, the idea of having a good education system is the solution. We do need, that's one of the root issues, that we need good education. But we're not getting that. So like the universities aren't producing people that are quality.
No.
They're producing a bunch of fucking retarded dipshits that are making everything worse. And they don't know how to think, and they don't even know that they're the problem. Like, they'll do stupid shit like, they'll act like a fucking jerk off, right? And then you'll be like, you're a fucking asshole. And they'll be like, you're transphobic. It's like, okay, no one has an irrational fear of you. You're just a piece of shit. No one even gives a fuck that you're trans or whatever the fuck you are. Is the way you treat people and the way you talk. You're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. But they'll be like, no, you don't agree with me, so you must be a Nazi. There's no possible way that it could just be that they're an asshole.
No, I know.
Dumb.
Now, as things are, the profession of the politician is the only profession which needs no qualification. Even if you want to be a plumber, some kind of qualification will be needed. Some training in plumbing, some certificate. But if you want to be the President of America, no certificate is needed. It seems strange. Plumbing is more important than the President of America. If you want to be a senator, no qualification is needed. If you want to be a teacher in a kindergarten school, qualifications are needed. Democracy is not succeeding. it has failed. It was better than its predecessors. But now we have to find a new alternative because democracy has failed. It has not been of any help. I call it meritocracy. The future belongs to meritocracy.
So we were taking a walk the other day in the park, a couple weeks ago, I guess. And I was telling you about... I was basically saying the same kind of thing he was saying. I was talking about, like, how there's one group that's like, we want DEI, right? Like, we want quotas and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other group that's like, we don't want quotas and shit because we want merit. And we're supposed to have a society based on merit. And I think, like, the people that say they want merit are more right than the quota people, obviously. But we don't have merit in our society, and we never have. We have, like, it's there as a concept, and people think of it as like a higher ideal, like something that we should strive for, and that's good. But it's sort of like honesty, where, like, everyone says we should be honest and that they respect honesty, but then you look at how they actually live their lives and they don't actually live by that.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, merit, it is the thing that sounds the best, but how would you even implement merit? I don't know, but, like
who decides
who the experts
what is
are?
good merit? Like, what is the merit based on?
Yeah.
Who decides what merit is based on? And then, like, how do you rank that or rate that? And who makes those decisions? 'Cause I think you've just fallen into the same trap of system.
It's so complicated because there is problems with our system. There's no way, like you said, that this is the final evolution of human.
Yeah, hell no.
Like, the way that we organize our societies.
No, there's got to be better
There
ways.
has to be better ways, right? So the only way that's going to happen is if people think about it and work on that problem.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that there needs to be something between, like, quotas and merit, where, like, maybe you could combine them somehow, where, like, the quota is for people who are the most deserving. And then the question is to figure out, like you said, who's deciding, like, who are the people that are the ones that have the most merit. Because I would like people who are truly experts. And what I mean by expert is, like, you have, like, multiple overlapping expertise in different fields. Mm-hmm. Not just you're an expert in one specific area. I don't believe that is a good definition for expert.
No.
But, like, someone who's, like, really knowledgeable in a bunch of different areas, I would want groups of people like that, so they each make up for their flaws and weaknesses and strengths and stuff. And say, like, have a group of people who are really knowledgeable about, like, traffic and building bridges and roads and stuff like that, and then have them in charge of, like, their area of the town they live in or the city or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And they're in charge of building the roads and, like, putting the stoplights in certain places, stop signs, building the bridges, the highways, all that shit. And they do it by actually, like, surveying the land and looking at traffic patterns and how many people live in the area and all the relevant data.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, put together some kind of plan based on their expertise, that's the relevant expertise in this field, and then they decide how shit is done. Not like we vote on some fucking retard that's just lying to everybody and isn't planning on doing any of the things they promised to get elected, and they're just going to look out for themselves when they do get elected, which is 99% of the politicians in every fucking country.
Unfortunately, yeah.
You would agree with that?
Probably.
Like most people would. Like most people don't trust politicians. And it's like you said, they have no qualifications. What the fuck do they know? Why would we have a politician in charge of building the roads and stuff like that?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make any sense.
Or even having a politician in charge of hiring the people who do the roads.
Yeah.
Or having a politician in charge of having his staff member figuring out who to build the roads, and then that group then finds someone to build the roads or whatever. Like, you see the way that it's done now. They'll fucking start something, and it's like 3 years before they're finished, and like half the time they're not even working on it. You're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's retarded. That's the way we do things, and everybody knows, and everyone sees it. But we're just like, well, this is the way things are. It's like, I think we could do better.
Yeah, definitely.
And just because I don't, or me and Jenny don't have all the solutions, doesn't mean that we can't say that there's problems and point out that there's like shit that we need to work on and it can be better.
Yeah.
Okay, let me play you a couple clips.
Okay.
Okay. Oops.
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole universe in their eyes if you look carefully. But as soon as they begin to group, as soon as they begin to clot, when there are 5 of them, or 10, or even groups as small as 2, they begin to change. They sacrifice the beauty of the individual for the sake of the group.
What do you think about that?
It's true. People usually do change. I remember, when you grow up and you have your group of friends, and then every group has pairs that branch off, like 2 friends are closer than they are to the other people and stuff like that. That always happens. Like, a person is one way when they're alone with you, and then they're different when they're around the group with you.
I have this, that was just a clip from an interview he did, but there's this clip I always like sharing from one of his audiobooks, and I think it's read by his brother.
Okay.
So it sounds like him. He's like, is that George? No, it just sounds like him because it's his brother. But it's kind of, I was going to say the word expounding.
Expounding?
Yeah, I was going to say the word expounding.
Okay.
That is the proper word, but I feel like such a jerk off saying that word. He's just going to talk more about the thing he just talked about. There you go.
Outside of my audience, groups repel me because for the sake of group thought, they kill individuality, that wonderful human oneness. I'm wide open to individuals, fine with individuals. Individuals are just great. Every individual set of eyes you look into gives you something. Whether it's a blank wall or an infinite regress of barbershop mirrors, just as fascinating. People are wonderful one at a time. Each of them has an entire hologram of the universe somewhere within them. But as soon as individuals begin to clump, as soon as they begin to clot, they change. And the larger the group, the more toxic. The more of your beauty as an individual you have to surrender for the sake of group thought. And when you suspend your individual beauty, you also give up a lot of your humanity. You will do things in the name of a group that you would never do on your own. Injuring, hurting, killing, drinking are all part of it because you've lost your identity, because you now owe your allegiance to this thing that's bigger than you are, and that controls you. I no longer identify with my species. I haven't for a long time. I identify more with carbon atoms. I don't feel comfortable or safe on this planet. From the standpoint of my work and peace of mind, the safest thing, the thing which gives me most comfort, is to identify with the atoms and the stars, and simply contemplate the folly of my fellow species members. My job is to watch the ludicrous dance down here for the humor and entertainment it provides, and drop in every now and then to show my former species how fucked up they are. Years ago, I began to recede past Jupiter and its moons, out to the Oort cloud of trillions of comets, beyond the planet formerly known as Pluto, back home with my fellow atoms, all of which originally came from some star or other, and not necessarily the one we're circling. I believe I'm bigger than the universe, smaller than the universe, and equal to it. I'm bigger than the universe because I can picture it, define it in my mind, and everything that's in it, and contain all that in my mind in a single thought. A thought that's not even the only one in there. It's right between, shit, my ass itches, and why don't we fuck the waitress? That thought, with all the others, is inside the 23-inch circumference of my cranium. So I'm bigger than the universe. I'm smaller than it because that's obvious. I'm 5'9" and 150 pounds, and the universe is somewhat taller and heavier. I'm equal to it because every atom in me is the same as every atom the universe is made of. I'm part of that proto-galaxy 5 billion light years away, and of that cigarette butt in Cleveland. There are no differences. We're equal. Unlike our fake democracy, the democracy of atoms is real. Depending on my given mood on a given day, I can reflect on one of these three relationships for a moment or two and find comfort in it. And know that I'm really at one with the universe and will return to it on a more...
What'd you think about that?
I didn't really think about like the universe and stuff in the way that he put it there. Like that he's equal to it and bigger than it and smaller than it at the same time.
It's a pretty interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah. So I have to think about that. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, he was, anti-religion and didn't believe in God or at least the gods that were in the Bible, in the like the holy books, like in the religions. Mm-hmm. But you can clearly see that he was thinking about this kind of stuff.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, I don't know. I think people misunderstand each other. Like if you're not religious, they kind of just put you in a box.
Yeah.
And don't listen to anything you think or say, because they think you're just like Jordan Peterson has a whole thing like, if you're not religious, you're like a nihilist. Which is like, whoa,
no,
dude.
It doesn't.
I'm definitely not a nihilist.
No.
Not at all. And if you want to get into a competition about it, I'll probably win. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's definitely not true, though. It just because you don't believe something that has no evidence, and because you don't want to be part of a group and do what he just said, where like now you're thinking stuff that you don't really think, but it's like a computer chip was put in your brain now.
Yeah. With
new talking points, and you don't really think that. You only think that because the computer chip's in your brain. But if that computer chip is taken out of your brain, you wouldn't actually think that shit.
Yeah.
You're just in that group, so you're thinking that shit. And we're like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to just think what I think, which means then that the groups are all going to be like, well, then you can't be part of our group. And we're like, well, okay. And then to be like, well, you're a nihilist for not wanting to be part of these groups and not giving up your individuality and thinking for yourself. That's some kind of weird projection, I think.
Yeah, it's very weird.
And I think a lot of Jordan Peterson's religious shit is projection. Like, the way that they wrote these stories is not at all the way that he perceives them. He's looking at them through the lens of like his education and his upbringing, and applying like his knowledge of psychology and like modern science and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And modern ways of thinking and knowing all of the history that's gone before. And then he's like, well, this is what this means. But it's like, clearly, like, that's not what they actually meant. He's trying to make it seem more than it is. Like when he talks about these Bible stories.
Yeah. It's interesting take on things, but it's just his interpretation.
Yeah, and the funny thing that we always come back to, both of us, is why is it just the Bible?
Yeah, he never
He keeps
doesn't
saying,
do that.
he says religion is so important. You have to be religious. If you're not religious, you're a
But
nihilist.
just Christianity.
But he doesn't defend like fucking Shintoism or whatever, like different religion, you know what I mean? Like, he's not talking about Hinduism.
No, he doesn't.
He probably doesn't know fucking barely anything about Hinduism.
Yeah.
Like, there's other religions. Why are you saying this one?
Because that's the one that's closest to
It's
him.
just so obviously, like, I don't know. It's just the same old shit that religious people always do. And sorry if that rubs you the wrong way. I don't know what to tell you. What would you say to them? You were the one raised religious.
To religious people?
Yeah, if they're upset about us insulting religion.
There's nothing to say. Because they believe in what they believe in.
Yeah, but we're not trying to be assholes. You know what I mean? Like, if
Here's the thing.
everyone's got their thing that they get upset about when you mock it, like, we can mock communists and they'll be like, yeah, those stupid fucking communists.
Yeah.
But then when we mock their group, then it's like, oh, you're an asshole now.
Well,
But we're like
obviously.
applying the same standard to everyone.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, we're shitting on religion, but it's not out of like out of bitterness or resentment or anything. It's just pure logic. And then for you, like, you were raised with that stuff
Yeah.
and you didn't like it.
No.
So, like, what would you say to religious people that are like that would be mad?
Tough titties. What else am I going to say? I'm allowed to think what I think, and they can think what they think. And unfortunately, we don't think the same thing. So, my position is, nobody in the world knows what happens when you die. Nobody that's ever lived before, nobody that's living now, and nobody that's going to live after us. Like, until you die, you're not going to know. And, like, claiming that there is for sure 100% an afterlife, or you go to another dimension, or you're reincarnated, or whatever it is that you think happens based on whatever religion you follow. Like, claiming that you know that for sure, or that you know for sure that your God and only your God is the one to believe in and true. Like, you're the one that's being arrogant, because nobody has those answers. Not any priest or holy person or anything. So there's nothing to argue about. If you don't like what I'm saying, then tough luck.
For me, it's just like, I'm not going to not insult you when you find it funny when we mock, like, feminists, or we mock socialists or communists or whoever, whatever group that you find it funny when they're mocked. Like, and you're going to be upset and be like, well, you think you're better than everyone? I don't think that at all. We're just thinking about stuff here. Like what Carlin said. Think about what he said. Like, when people get into groups, you lose I can't speak. I need a drink. You lose your individuality and you become like, that's the whole lesson of Star Trek and the Borg.
Yeah. Things don't progress unless people are curious and ask questions and want to understand things. And when you're a part of a religion or a group like that, those things are off the table. So how can you grow, or how can you advance, or how can you do anything if you can't question things and you can't be truthful about the answers to questions?
Yeah, and that goes for religion or ideology.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a communist and you start thinking like, oh, this doesn't add up, or this doesn't make sense. If you start, like, even asking questions, then they'll fucking kill you.
There you go, yeah.
I was watching this interview with this girl who was one of these, like, former woke people, and now she's not woke anymore.
Good for her.
And the reason was Jordan Peterson. And she's some young college girl.
Okay, that's
I'm
good.
not sure why she was being interviewed. The thing just went into autoplay, and I just kept listening to it.
Okay.
And she was talking about how all these woke people will sit there and call Jordan Peterson a Nazi, but like secretly, like when he came to their university, there were all of these woke people or people that were like performatively woke. Like I was saying, like they don't really think the stuff
Yeah.
that they were saying they thought. They were just like they're part of that group, so that is kind of what they think now. At least that's what they say they think. But then all these people lined up to see him talk.
I bet.
But anyway, she was talking about how when she's in this woke thing at the university, like, you know, you're not supposed to question anything.
You can't.
To even question anything, she said that was the biggest no-no. Out of all of the things that you could do, was you were never supposed to ask questions.
Yeah, I bet.
And as soon as she started asking questions, and it was because Jordan Peterson, she listened to him saying, like, always speak the truth or at least don't lie. Mm-hmm. She's like, okay, I'm going to try doing that. Because she listened to she had the same thing happen. YouTube autoplay. She listened to a clip. She found herself listening to the whole thing, 50 minutes long. At the end, she's like, I didn't disagree with a single thing this dude just said. Meanwhile, me and all my friends are calling him literally a Nazi, a modern day Nazi. And this chick's in England. This wasn't even in North America. Mm-hmm. Right? So this shit's everywhere. And she was saying, like, the thing that you're not supposed to do is ask questions. And she's like, okay, I have these questions, and I'm going to do what he said. I'm going to speak the truth. And as soon as she started asking questions, heretic, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And it's not like that's just woke people. That happens, like, with every group to different degrees.
Because for everybody to think the same thing all the time, you have to be telling some kind of lie somewhere. So you're creating an illusion, like you're creating a bubble and an echo chamber. And when you start asking questions, that illusion can quickly fall to pieces and the bubble popped very quickly. Because it doesn't make any sense. The illusion is gone. And then you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So you can't ask questions.
That's why self-reflection is so important. You need to know, like, what the hell happened there? Oh, switched. What was I saying? You need self-reflection.
You need to know who you are. Is that where you were going?
I don't remember anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, being part of a group, it's like there's going to be a trade-off. And like there's certain things that are inherent in humans, like tribalism and stuff like that, where it's like there's like almost no way, like there's no way of solving that problem that's inherent in our biology that we group together in tribes. Mm-hmm. So then like we got to figure out how to like mitigate that somehow. Mm-hmm. Which goes back to universities and like education system and shit, but that's taken over by activists. So I don't know what the solution is, but I like what Osho was saying about like meritocracy and how it's sort of like if you could combine that with like the Venus Project or something.
Yeah.
Where people there was like small like councils or groups of people or I don't know what term you would use, who are experts in all the relevant fields and in different overlapping fields, and they were sort of put in charge of like implementing whatever it is they're experts in.
Yeah.
Like making sure the environment's clean or building skyscrapers or building cities that are like nice to live in, not congested and full of garbage and fucking bullshit. Like I don't know how you would do that, but I think maybe the only real solution is like what Star Trek came up with is technology.
That's a big part of the Venus Project idea.
Yeah,
is that
you
have to you have to go to the root issues, which starts at the individual and family level, and just like the basic living and what people do with their time and life. So, like where you're going with like technology, where Venus Project was going, like everybody has 3D printers, everybody has access to all of the information out there. Like, you're going to school to learn about things that you're interested in, and you pursue whatever passions you want to pursue. So you're contributing to society, but you're doing something that you want to do versus having to do like a work-and-read job that we do now, like working in an office or construction or whatever. Like technology would end up doing the bulk of those kinds of menial jobs and stuff like that. So if people's lives and quality of their lives are improved and they have what they need and they're not wanting for things, then people would, the temperament of people would be different, but also the drive to want to be in control would be different as well.
I think it would be more like, how would you even control?
Like
if it's not even possible to do it.
No, it would just be more like, how can we make things better for everybody, basically? And people would be more driven like that. I don't think that's at all what happened, because human nature is human nature. Well, yeah, there's always going to be assholes.
The key with that stuff, with Venus Project, is that you eliminate the ability of those people who are always going to exist, because you can't get rid of that.
No, hell no.
You make it so that they can't like get power where they control too much.
Right.
And can do crazy shit.
Yeah. It would be a very complicated, like, change.
Yeah, well, the thing I like about the Venus Project, I was talking to you about this the other day, is the thing with Jacques Fresco, who came up with the Venus Project. He talks about how this is just like a transition from what we're doing now to what will come eventually that hopefully will end up working. Mm-hmm. And he talks about how this is his plan, and he thinks like this is what we should do, but he knows that probably even within 15 years or whatever generation or whatever, the people that live in his cities that he designed will feel constrained by that and want to break free and build something even better than what he's designed.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone and a jump off point.
And his ideas are like, it's a resource-based economy where there's like a computer that keeps track of all the different resources that we have and what needs to be done. So like allocates based on like logic.
Yeah.
What, like, this is how many resources we have. These are the issues that need to be addressed. This is how it should be done. And it's not even done by like people voting or some politician, being in charge of, or they're supposed to be in charge of like taking care of the environment. But instead of taking care of the environment, they're getting paid off by big corporations that are polluting the environment. Mm-hmm. It eliminates that.
Yeah.
But like he said, the thing that I find the coolest about it is that he's like, yeah, this isn't the end solution. Mm-hmm. There's going to be stuff that comes after this and has to be like that.
Yeah.
That's a good way of doing things. Like, because revolution's crazy, right? And you want to make it that as little crazy as possible.
Yeah.
And having that kind of attitude could help. Mm-hmm. But there definitely needs to be change. Like, this isn't the fucking peak of civilization. And if it is, then we don't deserve to live. Like, that's it. Like, if this is the best we can do, that's pathetic.
It's very disorganized and unbalanced.
Yeah. But I think that, like, the way I look at it, like, how long were the dinosaurs around? Like, millions of years, right?
Yeah.
They think maybe at most, let's be, like, crazy and say, like, 400,000 years, they think now, for, like, our actual species.
Yeah.
That's probably even a bit long.
Maybe, yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
Who knows?
It's not a million years, right? It's not a few million years.
Yeah.
So, like, we're pretty young, and I think that there's a lot of good shit going on. And just because there's problems, like, people need to step back and look at the scope of history and, like, what's come before and realize that even with all the shit that's going on now, we're still living in the best time ever, objectively. And all these people whining, complaining, like, you know who I'm talking about? Like, especially these people that talk about privilege and shit all the time. If you're living in the first world, you're some of the most privileged humans, objectively, that have ever lived. The fact, like we talked about last, I think, episode, like having electricity and like antibiotics and clean water and all the shit that we have in the modern world. Yeah, there's like problems with like community and our governments, and like there's all kinds of problems. There's crazy shit going on for sure. But the fact that we're not like all starving to death and dying of fucking like getting a cut on your finger, or like your teeth rotting out and you can't eat any food anymore, getting infection and dying.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like the fact that we have refrigeration and can get food whenever the hell we want it, rather than just spend all fucking day like our ancestors did, just scrounging around to either get food or be safe. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think people have any concept of how fucking hard our ancestors had to work all day, every day, just to maintain.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
And now
quite the grind.
It's insane. And now look at the way that we live. Like, we have a lot of time now where we can solve these social problems, but because of the way that we've set things up, we got activists instead of like educated intellectuals who should be like the people who are the smart ones, being like, this is the way forward.
Yeah.
Instead, they're like, yes, socialism. Like, that's really like,
I know, we're going backwards.
That's so stupid. Yeah. Okay, I want to change the tone or whatever.
Yeah.
Just want to play a couple clips I think are funny.
Okay.
Hold on.
This is Winnie. She's a
Who is this with us here?
This is Winnie. She's a rescue. I saved her.
Yeah.
She was getting sexually assaulted by a pack of chihuahuas.
Oh my.
In Los Angeles. I stepped in.
Yeah.
And I crescent kicked 2 of them.
You did.
And we've been together ever since.
Is that going to be part of your routine? Like, what are we going to see this evening, this weekend?
Hitler, genocide, Kamala, Trump, and poop.
Well, all things that are on top of mind for folks the moment they wake up and turn our newscast on.
I don't want to burn a bridge here. I know how you feel about bridges in Baltimore, but
Oh my goodness! All right, Sam, we're gonna take it out of here.
That was Sam Morrill on one of these stupid morning shows, like
she was so
local
upset.
TV. There's a group of these comedians that go and do this, where they'll get invited on these shows, and I guess the people might not know them or they're like their reputation, and they go on these shows just to say crazy shit. Like, rather than to go on there and be like, oh yeah, hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, the show is really kooky. Come down, buy some comedy tickets. It'll be a great show.
Yeah.
I got another one from this guy. It's Sam Morrill, in case you don't know.
One of your comparisons were guns and babies. Now, this is something I must admit. I think some crazy stuff in my head throughout the day, just wandering. I've never put the parallel of guns and babies together, but you do it masterfully. Explain.
Yeah, well, both are easy to hate, but then you hold one. And you're like, I kind of get it, you know?
Yeah.
Both annoying on airplanes.
Yeah,
If you're dating someone new and they have either, you're like, it could be a problem. You know,
Right.
and both will be in a school soon.
That was Morning Joe. That was he's one of the worst fucking just total jerk offs in media.
Okay.
Like, one of the worst people. Which makes that extra funny because that guy's a real dickbag. I don't know. I find
he
that
was
shit
very
funny.
uncomfortable.
He was so uncomfortable. He's one of these extreme, like, one of the people that were obsessed with Trump and the Russia thing every fucking day. And they were completely convinced that it was real and it was going on, and they were going to get Trump.
Oh my
and
God.
the walls are closing in. The walls are closing in.
Oh my goodness.
And then it was proven completely made up and bullshit. And nothing even happened. Like, they didn't lose their jobs. They never admitted that they were wrong. They still think that they were right. Like, it's just, they didn't even phase them. They just moved on like nothing happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of psychos out there.
It's insane. All right, so
Playlist?
I guess we do playlist talking.
Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so this is we'll
Clickly.
We'll quickly. I'm so stupid. Kind of just talk about the playlist because we want you guys to. We put a lot of work into these playlists, and they're pretty goddamn amazing. And there's a lot of people always talking about, like, there's the people that are like rock and roll is dead, or new rock music's not as good anymore, or there's a lot of people that just they kind of just listen to whatever's on, like the radio or whatever, because they don't want to dig for stuff. Or there's people that just love music and want to hear like a wide variety of cool shit by people that know a lot about music, and like putting together playlists for other people to enjoy. So that's what we're trying to do with these playlists. This one, you know, like we try and do a lot of variety, but also sometimes like with this one, I just want to do a heavy metal playlist.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just want to do a whole playlist with just heavy shit. But that doesn't mean like that it's all just crazy, screamy, death metal-y type stuff. There is that, but I think there's some stuff on there that will surprise you. Mm-hmm. There's like all different range. There's like Finnish classical music, heavy metal, sung by a chick.
Yeah, the Finnish version of Evanescence.
Yeah. And then you have like Iron Maiden, and then you have Slipknot. You got Rammstein, and then you got like Lucifer, which is I guess satanic. I don't know how serious they are about that. They are called Lucifer. Mm-hmm. Anyways, they're like it's like kind of like a classic rock, metal, satanic rock band out of Sweden.
Yeah.
So there's like, oh, and there's the new fucking Marilyn Manson song is on there. Mm-hmm. That song is awesome. Mm-hmm. We both really love that track. Mm-hmm. Genesis by Deftones is such a huge fucking track. It's off their latest album that came out.
Yeah, it's really good.
A couple years ago, I think now. Man, I kind of missed that song on the album. I'm not sure why. I guess we're just listening to so much music. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I haven't been listening to full albums as much anymore.
They're going to come out with new stuff soon.
I know. If you want to see an awesome performance, check out Deftones from this past Lollapalooza. I think, it was Lollapalooza in Chicago.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Remember? Mm-hmm. Remember how good that was? Bring Me the Horizon. We are constantly looking for new music and shit all the time, but we're not like plugged into like like what's going on in the mainstream or anything like that.
Yeah, we find it ourselves.
So I think these guys are like a huge fucking band, and everybody knows about them except for us. But for us, we're just getting into them. We randomly just watched a whole concert of theirs from some heavy metal festival in Europe somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was pretty goddamn good.
Yeah,
He looks like they're like 25. I don't know how old they are. They're pretty young.
Well, at least the lead singer is.
Really fucking good.
Yeah.
We're probably telling you shit you already know, and we're the ones that are fucking out of the loop. But yeah, check these dudes out. They're pretty goddamn good. Korn. This is a newer song. Like, this isn't, well, I shouldn't even say newer, but like, I don't know, for a lot of people it's probably same thing that we kind of went through, at least I did, where really liked Korn when they were popular, and then they felt like they kind of became corny. No pun intended. Does it feel like that to you?
I don't know. I wasn't, like, I never had their album.
Like the new metal thing kind of like was a thing people started making fun of. The Limp Bizkit and Korn. And,
yeah, they did kind of fall into that.
Yeah.
But I liked the singles that they put out all the way through. Even
Yeah.
the Twisted Transistor and stuff like that. I like that song.
Yeah. What I'm saying is they've still put out some really good shit. And it was me that was the problem. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't start sucking.
That Coming Undone song was really good.
Oh, yeah. They're a really good band. And this song with Corey Taylor fucking rules. A Perfect Circle song, I really love the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the end.
You can just click on the text and it'll go to that place in the song.
Same idea. Try lifting the stone. Try extending your hand. Try walking your talk or get the fuck out. Fuck, that's good. Try walking like Jesus. Sit and talk like Jesus. Try braving the rain. Try lifting the stone. Try extending a hand. Try walking your talk or get the fuck out of my way. God damn, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
At least I like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
I really like that. And to end the song like that is awesome. Oh, fuck. The fucking Gojira song from the Olympics, which pissed off all the jerk-offs. All these people, it's so funny watching the pendulum go back and forth. Like how during 9/11, all the right-wingers were like, oh, you don't trust the media? What are you, fucking retarded? Oh, you don't trust the government? What are you, fucking retarded? Oh, if the government's spying on you and you have nothing to hide, then what are you worried about?
Yeah, that's so stupid.
And we're like, you don't see how this is going to be used against you one day, you fucking retards? They're like, okay, conspiracy theorist, fucking retard. And then now they're like, don't trust the media, don't trust the government. Fucking, like, the deep state is trying to take out Donald Trump and all this stuff. They're trying to censor everybody. It's just funny how things flip back and forth.
Yeah.
And now they're like, it's kind of going back again the other way where that whole thing with the Olympics, that opening ceremony, you saw how they lost their minds about that.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was funny. It's like, you guys are like, oh, you guys are too sensitive. You can't take a joke or whatever. And they were so fucking upset about this stupid opening ceremony for the Olympics. Like with the Dionysus or whatever the fuck it was, like the weird Greek stuff. It was fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
But the part that was cool was the Gojira thing. That fucking ruled.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And that blew up all over everywhere. Like,
yeah.
super popular. Anyways, they released that as a single. So that's the second track on the album.
It's really good.
Or second track on the playlist. I don't know why I said album.
It's okay.
Is there any tracks you want to talk about? Oh, the new Smashing Pumpkins. New Smashing Pumpkins album is really fucking good. And this fucking... I don't know if it's a single. But this track is awesome. Like, it kicks... Like, the opening riff rules. What's that shit? Hell yeah.
Yep. Chino did an appearance at a Smashing Pumpkins show. He goes on stage.
Who did?
Chino from Deftones.
Yeah, he loves he loves music. He's on like everybody's albums. There's a new Mastodon song with the dude from Lamb of God, which is fucking very heavy. Mm-hmm. I didn't even get to what I was trying to say before, but like there's a huge variety of different types of metal on this, and you might be one of these people that's like, I don't like screamy loud music or whatever. Just give it a chance. You may never listen to metal music ever again, but this playlist is objectively amazing. There's some really good songs on there, and if you open your mind, you might find some stuff that you really like there that you might not have thought that you might like.
Yeah.
Because in every genre, there's shit that even people that don't like it will like.
Well, something that's exceptional and good, whether you know about it, like you know about that subject or interest or whatever, you can appreciate good art.
Yeah. The playlist ends with more like, so it starts off pretty heavy. Like you got like Rammstein and Gojira and Slipknot and Mastodon, heavy shit. But I want to end it where it's more like classic Rocky type feel. And I didn't like, it wasn't some kind of like DEI plan or whatever, but I did like the variety of having a bunch of chicks at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I got Melissa Aufdermeyer, which, if you don't know, she played bass in Hole.
Mm-hmm.
And then who else did she play with?
Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, yeah, Smashing Pumpkins. And then we've talked about her many times. Her first album was, they're not like credited or anything, but Josh and Nick from Queens of the Stone Age worked on that album with her. And you can really hear it in the album. Like it sounds pretty Queens of the Stone Agey, but it's fucking really good. And this song is from her second album, which only in like last year or so was finally put back on streaming services.
Yep.
Which was weird and annoying when they do that.
Yeah.
When, like, she's only got 2 albums and only 1 was on streaming services.
I know.
Anyways, the album's really good. This song's really good. And it switches from, like, heavy, like, dude metal stuff into more chick, classic rock, classical style shit. And then going into, like, theatrical, like Iron Maiden, Ozzy. And then Metallica doing a cover of Am I Evil, which is one of the best fucking songs you've ever heard. And if you've never heard this song, I would recommend watching them do it live.
Mm-hmm.
It's so awesome. Is there anything else you want to talk about or say about the playlist, or you want to end it?
I thought we were going to do a quote. We wanted to end things with quotes.
Well, I said we could do that if you wanted.
I have a quote ready to go if you want to do that.
Of course, do it.
Okay. So, the very powerful and the very stupid have one thing in common. They don't alter their views to fit the facts. They alter the facts to fit their views. And that was from a Doctor Who episode in 1977.
That was the guy who I knew as Doctor Who, the original Doctor Who.
Yeah. I think that's the one with the creepy black and white intro.
No.
No?
No, it's the scarf guy. Tom something. I don't remember his name.
Whatever.
I was like fucking 8 years old. I
It's
didn't know the
from the
name of the actors in the show.
1970s.
I got a million quotes here.
Just pick one.
This is a good one. One of the first conditions of happiness is that the link between man and nature shall not be broken. Leo Tolstoy.
That's good.
I like that one. You want to do more, or is that it?
Okay, we can do one more each.
Okay.
In order to love who you are, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. I don't know who this is. Andrea Dijkstra. I have no idea who that is, but I really liked that.
In order to love who you are, you cannot hate the experiences. Yeah, that's a good one.
That really hit a chord with me.
It's a good one. Richard Feynman is somebody that everyone should learn about and just read his quotes. He's a physicist of some sort. He's the kind of guy where all the other physicists who are like Nobel Prize winner guys are like, he's the smartest guy.
Oh, okay.
Knowledge isn't free. You have to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of my biggest epiphanies when I was really young. The concept of you are literally paying attention. Mm-hmm. And what you pay your attention to shapes your whole world.
Yep, it's true.
And you are literally paying because there's finite attention that you have. So you're allocating it to certain things, and what you allocate it to
Yeah.
there's results. There's, that creates a certain outcome. And if you're focusing on like interesting shit and like how to make yourself better, how to think in a better way, like be more logical, more rational, more intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're just focused on watching like fucking like vapid, retarded TV shows, like it's kind of going back to the democracy thing. Like if you're just some retard who spends all day paying attention to stupid shit, I don't really want you voting on important things. But if you're someone like Richard Feynman, I'm fine with him having a say on certain shit that I'd have no business even having an opinion on.
Yeah.
Like to do with physics and stuff like that. How to run a physics program in a university.
Yeah.
What the fuck would I know about that?
No, I
But
know.
democracy says, I should have a vote because I'm an important person.
I know.
No, stupid. I don't want my opinion to affect things that I don't know enough about.
Yeah.
Anyways, I like that quote.
Me too.
All right, so is that it?
All right, yeah, that's it. So remember to do something fun and that you enjoy. Take care. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.